in this cold episode, I think we're discussing this kind of paradox that we want to control these elements, but we can't, but still we try. And in this video, it kind of, well, like we've discussed in previous episodes as well, that this emotion becomes uh, visualized by water. Surprise. And because there's clearly like some tension between the characters that can be something to do with love or just some affection or whatever. It doesn't become that clear, but what seems clear is that the character is struggling with facing that tension. And in my interpretation and the feeling I got, like, because the scenes in the water, they are sort of fighting with each other, and it's somehow joking and fooling around, but somehow there's some force in it, and
Yeah.
they're struggling. And because that takes place in the water, it became this kind of idea to me of sort of like washing away your sins, even though I'm not saying there's any sin there,
Yeah.
but more that this idea of, like, in the water, you're trying to get rid of something that you don't want to have, but you can't actually help it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I also like thought about the, like we talked about with water and earth, that there's always like the surface level and the levels like over and under it.
Yeah.
And I like, with this video in particular, I think that this is a video about the surface level and refusal to look what's under the surface. And especially when they are on water, I think there's like kind of an attempt to force each other or other one to look what's like behind the curtain, really nice, or under the surface, but they still don't want to go there.
Yeah, that's a really nice perspective.
And I think that they try to, or one of them tries to, force the other or both of them to see that, but they are not like ready to go there.
Yeah. And I guess my thoughts about like washing away the sins, now that the doc is watching it, I saw that there's also, I didn't remember that so clear, but there's some scenes in a church. So I guess that kind of association came from there.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think there's any sinful in any kind of tension or relation between people.
Yeah.
So, but of course that those are things that people are struggling with if they don't feel confident or comfortable with this either attention that you're getting or interest that you're having.
Yeah.
So I think it's very nice that this kind of relations and representations of different kind of relations that we have is represented in music videos. And I feel like it's done in a very sympathetic way. And I don't know if it's is the word like valid?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's valid, but it somehow made me think of the film Call Me by Your Name.
Oh yeah.
Of course, it's not completely the same kind of thing, but it had a similar kind of intention and kind of kindness to it.
Yeah. And I think I already said this to you like in some other conversation, but this kind of reminds me a lot of like this Finnish music video by Onni Boy, and the song title is Tides, and which like tapped into the same pool, I guess.
Yeah.
I think like at least when I was young, I have talked about this like in previous interviews or something, that I think like music videos, at least to me, were like the place where you could like easily see very, very like different kinds of like relationships or lifestyles or things like that, which is probably like harder to find like if you're not that into like avant-garde cinema or something, or if you live in a place where there's no movie theater or like television doesn't probably show that much like like alt content, that music videos can be like the place to see that kind of content really easily.
Yeah.
Even these days, especially when I was like young or younger, there weren't like that much like alternative cinema going on in television or TV series
Yeah.
that like showed even young people or stuff like that. But now it's like more common, but still like music videos can kind of very easily and in like easily like accessible way to show like really like different lifestyles, I guess.
Definitely. And I think that is an important like part of the function of music videos, if you want to say it like that, that they are so easily accessible, especially nowadays, like when we were younger and they were on television. Like it's not like now that you can access them on your phone like any minute that you want.
Yeah.
And I think that 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 they can reach such a big audience and global audience as well makes it easier to kind of understand uh, these different cultures or different like ways of being. What I also think about this way of being, what is important is that you show that that all the ways are of being are accepted, and that you get this more varied representation of ways of being, and that there's not just the Hollywood family with father, mother, and two kids. And of course, we are maybe a bit beyond that, but I still think there's a lot to gain in the scene to represent more different ways of having relationship, of living your life, or just being in the world.
Yeah, and I think like in modern music video, you can more easily tap into that like alternative lifestyle or alternative casting or something, because you don't like in many times have like huge budgets or restrictions by a record company or artist even. So if you have like a total freedom, you at least can try to like also make a variation like easily, and you don't have to like please anybody in a way.
And I feel like it's more accepted to touch upon taboos. Maybe it's again, for example, because it's such a short medium, because it's already kind of known to be extreme. So that can be positive and negative. It can become this kind of joke. It's about like Satanism in a music video, so we don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
But then again, like because like we said, music videos have such a big reach nowadays. They can reach such a big audience that of course they are part of this representation that people consume and that they will also relate to in their own lives. So of course it's important that we share these different views and different ways that we behave, and also the extreme ones, and to break this kind of taboos and be more normal about fetishes, or be more normal about just your own like home life. If you're showing like what you've been doing during the pandemic as a music video, that can also be meaningful, because you can show that you're not alone in things in this way.
Yeah, that's true. And I think like also like the fetish point of view was interesting. Like major artists can also like tap into that. Like Rihanna had the SM song and the video
Exactly.
that like touched upon the subject, and you can like play around with things that are well, maybe not that marginalized, but in a way marginalized, and you can like spread the word really like in a big way, in a really like acceptable way also.
Yeah.